So, something I've seen passed around Habs Twitter, and let's be honest, this is most likely coming from like Leafs fans and Sens fans, is Nick Suzuki being called Mr. Unsustainable. Now, if you haven't heard about this, I don't blame you. It's like a small subset on Habs Twitter who have heard about it because apparently the numbers that Nick Suzuki's posting offensively this year are not real. Apparently, they're just a mirage and he's going to fall back down to earth and he's not elite and he's not this, he's not that, blah, blah, blah. That's what so many people are saying. Looking at things like the shooting percentage and other offensive stats that are underlying, apparently the analytics paint Suzuki as not an elite number one centerman who can produce offensively. Now, to me, I'm an analytics guy. I like this stuff, and I really do think it gives you good insight into the players. But sometimes I think the eye test is still very much valuable. And hey, not always. Like, I look at a lot of GMs who try to go get their like 40-year-old players who were good 20 years ago, and they still think they have it in them over guys who analytically would be much better. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that, yes, okay, maybe Nick Suzuki will regress a bit. He already started to a little bit, but that doesn't mean that he's not an elite offensive option, and one of, if not the top option, to set up plays, not just scoring goals, because obviously, that's Cole Caufield, but the eye test, man. Watch Nick Suzuki and tell me he's not elite. You can't do it. Seriously, tell me that with a straight face. You cannot do it because you look at him play and he does things that are incredible. And I'm not even just talking about the shootout goals. Leave the shootout goals alone. That's fine. That's great. He's skilled there. But during the game, 14 does so many things that separates him from the pack. And that, to me, I look at this and I'm like, okay, that's how you create offense. That's how you keep the offense going, is doing little stuff like that. And he's got such a good head on his shoulders, such a good hockey IQ. And I didn't even mention the hands, man. He's got slick mitts, right? So, to me, he's got the tools and he's using them. And what he's got between the ears in terms of his maturity level, it's growing and growing and growing. And he's feeling more and more confident of what he can be in the NHL. And I absolutely think that Nick Suzuki could definitely remain as an elite offensive option for this team. Not just a two-way center a la David Krejci or something like that, like I've heard some people say. He is an elite offensive option, and all the doubters who were saying that before this year, who were saying, oh yeah, it's true, he is the 9th worst contract in the league, blah, 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 he's overrated, now doesn't look too overrated to me. He looks real good. So then I put up a poll on my YouTube community tab, and I asked, how many points do you think Nick Suzuki is going to score this season? And it got almost 5,000 votes, so clearly this is something you guys were interested in. Alright, and here are the results. So some people got mad at me that the floor is 60 to 70 points, and look, barring an injury, I really don't see any problem with this being the floor for Nick Suzuki this season. Seriously, like, I honestly have no issue with it whatsoever. The dude already has 29 points in 28 games. Like, he's already off to a pace that's way, way, way better than 60. So to me, that being the floor, I have no issue with it. And as you can see, 60% of the vote goes to 70 to 80 points, and only 16% say 90 plus. So quite a few people think that Nick Suzuki is going to fall back down to earth in terms of his point production pace, but still end up with a very, very solid season. And to me, anything above 70 points, that's when you're creeping up. I understand, look, of course you've got guys like McDavid and Draisaitl putting up 110, 120, Austin Matthews up in the 100, Mitch Marner, like you've got those crazy elite players. But when I was growing up, you had like Jamie Benn winning the Art Ross trophy with like, what was it? It was like 87 points, 90 points, something like that. And to be elite, it was anything above 70 points, right? And to me, I think a guy who's this young, you can't be comparing everybody to McDavid and Draisaitl and Marner, right? And you can't do it for everybody, right? Just because he's not getting 120 points, which I don't think people realize how insane that is, okay? Like, to me, again, like I said, in the early 2010s there, and even the late 2000s. Yes, you had the Ovechkin and Crosby who once in a while would just explode with a ridiculous season, but I mean, it was pretty standard between 70 and 90 points for a star player capping out there. So, to me, that's still a really good number, as long as you're not looking at, like, McDavid and Draisaitl's numbers, which, again, are ridiculous. So, I absolutely think if he can creep up high 70s, 80s, that's an amazing season for Nick Suzuki in the first year of his new contract. Keep in mind, everybody wants to think that Nick Suzuki's like 32 years old. Dude is barely, like not even in his mid-20s yet. He's almost in his mid-20s, not even yet, okay? It hasn't even been that long since he's been able to drink in the U.S. You literally have to remember that for Nick Suzuki. He's still developing. Man, does he seem elite to me. And I don't like when people call him Mr. Unsustainable. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. As usual, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.